The silence of the night fractured when a baby's cry echoed down sterile white halls. Emma's pulse raced as she turned sharply, whispering, "That can't be real." A nurse, her voice trembling, whispered, "Emma Carter, this child is yours." Emma's breath faltered, her denial choking her words. Daniel, standing at the courtroom's edge, felt the air thicken around him as the judge declared, "A DNA test confirms it. This child carries your blood." His knees weakened, heart slamming like a hammer. Emma's vision blurred as the nurse placed the infant into her arms. She whispered, "No, no, this isn't happening." The child's tiny fists clenched as if demanding a truth no one was ready to face. The world spun, collapsing in on Emma and Daniel. Their lives shattered in a single instant. A gasp escaped Emma's lips, fragile as glass. This can't be true. Yet the cry kept cutting, piercing, undeniable, leaving everyone frozen in disbelief. Emma staggered back, clutching the infant like a foreign weight. Her voice cracked as she muttered, "This isn't my life. I didn't choose this." Daniel pressed forward, his jaw rigid, whispering, "How could this be true?" The walls felt too close, the fluorescent light too harsh, as whispers spiraled like daggers. Emma's hands shook violently, fear spreading across her face as if the baby burned her. The nurse whispered, "There's no mistake, Emma." Emma shook her head, denying the truth even as the child whimpered in her arms. Daniel closed his fists, staring into the floor, the air thick with disbelief. The crowd outside murmured louder, voices swelling like a tide ready to consume them. Emma whispered a single word, "Why?" Her body trembled, knees threatening to give. No answer came, only the unrelenting cry that carved through the silence, again and again. Daniel's voice cracked as he demanded, "This is some mistake. This can't be real." The judge's gavel struck, silencing him with finality. Emma clutched the infant closer, as if denial could erase truth. She whispered, "Not me, not us." The wooden walls of the courtroom seemed to lean inward, suffocating. Whispers rippled across benches, faces turning away in judgment. Daniel's shoulders sagged as if the weight of every whispered word pressed down on him. His eyes darted to Emma, searching for an answer she couldn't give. The baby's cry echoed, tiny but piercing, drowning out reason. Emma's chest heaved, her tears soaking the infant's claw. "I'm not ready," she confessed in broken breath. Daniel looked down, fists unclenching, the truth sinking like stone in water. The judge's eyes, unyielding, offered no comfort, only cold decree. Emma staggered into the cold night outside the courthouse, her breath forming mist in the dark air. She whispered, "I can't breathe," clutching the infant closer. Daniel followed, his steps hesitant, words tangled. "Emma, what do we do now?" The night wrapped them in silence, broken only by the child's sobs. Street lamps cast pale yellow pools on cracked pavement. Emma's tears shimmered under the light, falling onto the baby's blanket. She shook her head, unable to speak. Daniel pressed his palms to his face, muttering, "This will ruin everything." The world around them kept moving, cars passing, people staring. Emma pulled the infant closer, whispering, "She needs me," though her voice carried doubt. The cry grew softer, a fragile rhythm. The weight of truth pressed heavy on both of them, too real to deny, too cruel to accept. The baby's cry finally softened into whimpers, but Emma's heart thundered louder than ever. She looked at Daniel, her voice raw. "This isn't the life I dreamed of. I wanted freedom, not chains." Daniel clenched his jaw, his eyes red, whispering, "Dreams don't matter now. Duty does." Emma rocked slightly, staring at the infant, her fear mixing with awe. "She doesn't deserve this chaos," Emma muttered, tears dripping onto the baby's tiny hand. Daniel turned away, fists tight. "We'll never be the same," he said, voice breaking. Emma leaned into the baby's warmth, whispering, "But she's real." The night stretched heavy, silence swallowing everything but the baby's soft breathing. Emma closed her eyes, grief and tenderness entwined. The story had begun, and there was no turning back. Emma sat on the courthouse steps, clutching the baby with trembling arms. The cold wind bit her cheeks, but her heart felt heavier than the night sky. She whispered, "I was never meant to be someone's mother." Daniel stood nearby, silent, staring at the pavement, fists locked tight. His voice broke when he muttered, "We can't escape this." The baby stirred softly, fragile breaths breaking the silence, reminding them both that choice no longer existed. Emma's tears streaked her face as shame seeped into her chest, burning deeper than any wound. "I can't even protect myself," she whispered. "How can I protect her?" Daniel's jaw tightened, his body rigid, fear hidden beneath his anger. The world moved around them, cars rushing past, people glancing then turning away. Yet for Emma, time froze, locking her inside the moment that chained her to this child forever. The nurse found Emma still sitting in the cold, shivering but unmoving, the child pressed against her chest. She knelt gently, her voice soft. "Emma, the child needs warmth." Emma shook her head, whispering, "She doesn't need me." Daniel stood at a distance, gaze hardened, his silence sharper than words. The nurse's eyes softened, yet her tone held weight. "This baby is your blood. She has only you now." Emma trembled, her arms tightening against the infant as if holding back the world. Shame flooded her, the memories of her own abandonment twisting like knives. "I wasn't loved enough to survive," she whispered, "and now I must give love I don't have." Daniel turned sharply, muttering, "This changes everything." The nurse placed a firm hand on Emma's shoulder, grounding her in the storm. Emma closed her eyes, the child's cry cutting deeper than any truth spoken aloud. The night stretched longer than Emma believed possible. She sat in silence, rocking slightly, listening to the baby's uneven breathing. Her chest ached with every tiny sound. Daniel finally spoke, his voice low. "Do you hate me for this?" Emma's eyes met his, hollow and fierce. "I hate everything," she said, "especially myself." Daniel's hand twitched as if to reach for her, but he stopped. The baby stirred, fists opening and closing, grounding Emma in reality she couldn't escape. She whispered, "I swore I'd never be trapped like my mother. Now look at me." Daniel flinched, guilt carving across his features, but he said nothing. The baby whimpered. Softer now, her fragility demanding care neither of them believed they could give. Emma pressed her cheek against the infant's head, whispering words even she didn't believe. "You deserve better than me." Morning broke with bitter chill, pale light spilling over cracked sidewalks. Emma sat in silence, exhaustion dragging her shoulders low, the baby asleep in her arms. Daniel approached slowly, his voice hesitant. "We can't keep hiding here." Emma shook her head, eyes red. "Where do we go, Daniel? Who takes us now?" His lips pressed tight, no answer escaping. The child's soft breathing filled the air, fragile and constant, reminding them of the weight neither could put down. Emma whispered, "My mother left me with nothing. I promised I'd never repeat her mistake." Daniel looked away, guilt heavy in his eyes, his silence more painful than any word. Emma's voice cracked, "But maybe I'm not strong enough." The sunrise cast long shadows, and Emma rocked gently, holding tighter, as if the baby's heartbeat was the only thing keeping her alive. Emma finally rose, body weak, legs trembling under the weight of her choice. She whispered to the baby, "I can't leave you, but I don't know how to keep you." Daniel followed, silent but close, watching her every step. Her voice wavered. "She's not just a burden. She's the truth we can't erase." Daniel's eyes softened for a moment and he muttered, "Then we carry her no matter what." Emma stopped, her shoulders shaking as tears rolled down her cheeks. She turned to Daniel, anger and sorrow colliding. "Don't say it like it's easy. You don't know what it costs." The baby stirred, tiny whimpers pulling Emma back from the edge. She clutched the infant tighter, breathing ragged. Truth was clear. No matter the pain, no matter the fear, she couldn't let go. The choice had already been made. Emma stepped into her mother's living room, clutching the baby tight against her chest. her arms aching from the weight. The smell of old furniture and dust filled her lungs, choking her. Her mother's eyes, sharp and cold, landed on the infant like knives. "You've brought shame under my roof," she hissed, voice low but venomous. Emma's lips trembled as she whispered, "I didn't ask for this. I didn't plan for her." The baby whimpered, the sound fragile yet loud in the silence. Her mother's arms crossed, her figure rigid, jaw set like stone. "You'll ruin yourself and us if you keep her. Do you want to be mocked? Do you want to carry this stain forever?" Daniel stood near the doorway, shoulders stiff, eyes darting nervously, guilt shadowing his face. Emma's heart pounded, her words spilling raw. "She's my daughter. I can't let her go. I want." The air grew heavy, suffocating, each second slower than the last. Her mother leaned forward, eyes narrowed. "You think love will protect you? Love is weakness, Emma. And weakness destroys." Emma turned, clutching the baby tighter, her breath shaky, heart thundering in her ears. The baby's tiny cry echoed, daring her to defy blood itself. The knock at the door startled Emma. Claire stepped in, her stylish heels clicking against the wooden floor, her eyes widening at the sight of the baby. "Emma! What have you done?" she gasped, voice trembling with both fear and judgment. Emma's throat tightened as she answered softly, "I didn't choose this, Claire. It just happened." Claire shook her head, disbelief etched into every line of her face. "No one will forgive you. Not your family, not your friends. You'll lose everything you worked for." Emma rocked the baby slowly, her voice breaking as she whispered, "She's innocent. Why does everyone want to punish her for existing?" Claire's lips pressed tight, her tone sharp as a blade. "Because people talk, Emma. They never forget, and they never forgive. You once survived the whispers." Daniel sat quietly, shoulders slumped, gaze fixed on the floor, shame written across his face. Emma's tears blurred her vision, the baby stirring, crying softly as if echoing her pain. "Then let them talk," Emma whispered, defiance breaking through the fear. "I won't turn my back on her." Claire's face hardened, her silence louder than words. In that instant, Emma felt a friendship shatter beyond repair. Daniel's father waited in the driveway, coat collar turned against the cool dusk air, his face hard as stone. His voice cut through the silence like broken glass. "That child will end your future. She will ruin everything you've built." Daniel's jaw tightened, fists trembling at his sides. "She's my responsibility," he answered, though his voice wavered with doubt. His father's eyes blazed, unrelenting. "Responsibility or disgrace? Do you think people will respect you with this stain tied to your name? You'll never recover." Emma stood by the car, rocking the baby gently, every word piercing deeper. Her heart cracked when Daniel remained silent as his father spat. "She's not worth the ruin. Neither of them are." Emma whispered fiercely, clutching the infant tighter. "Then what am I worth?" Daniel's chest rose and fell, his silence suffocating. The baby whimpered softly, her innocence a fragile counter to the cruelty of men. Daniel looked away, unable to meet Emma's eyes, shame and fear carving a chasm between them. The driveway felt colder than the night, as if hope itself had fled. The grocery store doors slid open, and Emma stepped inside, clutching the baby against her chest, her body tense. Whispers followed her almost instantly, two neighbors glancing sideways, their voices low but sharp. "That's her," one murmured, their eyes narrowing. Emma's cheeks flushed hot, her chest constricted, every step a weight she could barely bear. The baby shifted, a soft whimper breaking the strained silence. The clerk behind the counter glanced up, his lips curling, his words laced with cruelty. "Some mistakes can't be undone," he muttered loud enough for her to hear. Emma's throat burned, but she kept her head high, whispering to the infant, "They don't see you, little one. They only see me." The weight of eyes on her back felt unbearable, each stare a judgment she could never erase. Her hands trembled, yet her arms tightened protectively, as though shielding the child from a world eager to tear them apart. In that fragile moment, Emma found a thread of strength, drawn not from herself but from the tiny breaths of the child in her arms. Back home, Emma collapsed into a chair, her body trembling with exhaustion, tears streaking her cheeks. The baby stirred, her small cries soft but steady, filling the silence. "Everyone sees me as a failure," Emma whispered, rocking her slowly. "They look at me and see nothing but disgrace." Daniel stood by the window, his reflection fractured in the glass, his voice hollow. "Maybe they're right," he muttered, words dripping with defeat. Emma's head snapped up, eyes burning with both fury and sorrow. She didn't ask for this. She didn't ask to be born into chaos. She deserves love, even if I don't. Daniel pressed his palms against the windowpane, his shoulders tense, unable to turn. The silence stretched painfully until the baby's cry grew louder, filling the room like an unyielding truth. Emma pressed her lips to the child's forehead, whispering fiercely, "You are mine. Even if the world hates me, you are mine." Her voice shook, but her grip grew firm, the first sparks of defiance rooting deep in her heart. Emma's mother sat at the kitchen table, her hands gripping a faded envelope. Her voice cracked. "Emma, there's something you were never meant to know." Emma froze, clutching the baby closer, her pulse racing. Daniel leaned forward, his brows furrowed, sensing the weight in her tone. Her mother's eyes brimmed with guilt as she whispered, "This child, she isn't yours the way you believe." Emma's breath caught, her throat burning as denial surged. "What are you saying?" she demanded. The silence pressed down like a crushing weight. Her mother opened the envelope, sliding out papers yellowed with age. "I buried the truth to protect you," she said, her voice breaking. Emma shook her head violently, tears blurring her vision. The baby stirred, her tiny cry cutting through the suffocating air. Daniel's jaw clenched as though bracing for a blow that would shatter everything. Emma's mother's voice wavered as she revealed the secret. "The baby's mother is not you. She is your sister's child." Emma staggered back, nearly dropping the infant, her chest tight with disbelief. "No, you're lying," she gasped, tears streaming down her face. Daniel stood frozen, words trapped in his throat, his mind reeling. Emma's mother sobbed, gripping the table for strength. "Your sister couldn't raise her. She begged me to keep it hidden." Emma's body trembled, rage and sorrow colliding violently within her. "You let me believe she was mine. You let me fall into this storm," Emma cried. The baby whimpered in her arms, a silent witness to shattered truth. Daniel pressed his hands against his face, whispering, "Everything we thought, it's gone." Emma's voice cracked as she whispered to the infant, "You're still mine, no matter what they say." Emma's sister Lily arrived unexpectedly, her face pale, eyes swollen from sleepless nights. Her voice trembled. "Emma, please listen. She's mine." Emma's knees weakened, fury sparking like fire in her chest. "You let me believe my life was destroyed for her. You watched me suffer." Lily's lips quivered as tears slipped down her cheeks. "I was scared. I thought I'd lose everything if the truth came out." Daniel's jaw tightened, his anger spilling over. "So you let her carry your shame?" His voice cracked, thick with disgust. Emma's arms tightened around the baby, her voice raw. "You gave her life, but I gave her love. That makes her mine." Lily sobbed, reaching out, but stopping short, hands trembling. The room pulsed with unbearable tension, every heartbeat dragging the wound deeper. The baby whimpered softly, anchoring Emma to a truth she refused to surrender. The storm outside raged, rain hammering against the windows as voices rose inside. Emma's mother cried out, "We only wanted to protect you both." Emma's voice thundered back, "You buried me in lies." Lily sobbed, clutching her own arms as though holding herself together. Daniel stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Secrets don't protect, they destroy." The baby's cry pierced the storm, louder than before, echoing in the tense room. Emma pressed her lips against the infant's head, whispering, "I am her mother now. Nothing changes that." Lily's voice cracked in despair. "Please, Emma, don't take her from me forever." Emma's tears fell freely, but her voice held steel. You gave her life, Lily, but I've given her everything since, and I won't let her go. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within, thunder shaking the walls as truths tore the family apart. The house fell silent after the storm of voices, only the baby's soft breathing breaking the air. Emma sat on the couch, arms wrapped around the child like armor. Her eyes burned as she whispered, "Truth or lie, she is mine." Daniel stood behind her, his hand hovering above her shoulder, but never touching. Lily knelt nearby, her face broken, voice trembling. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought hiding it would save us both." Emma's glare cut through her, her voice like glass. "All you saved was your pride." Their mother sobbed quietly, her guilt hanging in the room like smoke. The baby shifted, tiny fingers gripping Emma's coat, anchoring her to the choice she had already made. Emma kissed the infant's head, her tears falling onto soft skin. "She is my salvation," she whispered. The room, fractured by betrayal, held its breath. The courtroom was packed, whispers buzzing like wasps, the air suffocating. Emma clutched the baby close, her body trembling but her jaw set with resolve. Daniel stood at her side, shoulders tense, eyes darting nervously. Lily sat at the opposite table, her face pale, lips quivering, hands clenched together. The judge's gavel struck, demanding silence that weighed heavier than stone. "The matter of custody will be decided here," he announced. Emma's heart pounded as her mother's voice echoed in her memory, urging her to give up. The baby whimpered, her cry fragile yet louder than every whisper. Emma lifted her chin, whispering fiercely, "She is mine." Daniel's chest rose sharply, as though her words carried the strength he had lost. Across the room, Lily's tears fell silently, shame dripping from every line of her face. The storm had come, and there was no turning back. The judge's voice cut through the silence. "This court demands truth above all." Lily rose shakily, her voice trembling. "She's mine. I gave her life." Gasps filled the room, sharp as thunder. Emma's body stiffened, tears burning as she shouted, "No, I've given her everything since she was placed in my arms. That makes her mine." Daniel shifted, his voice raw. "Emma has carried this burden. She has been the mother, not Lily." The baby stirred, small fists waving in the air, her innocence piercing the tension. The crowd whispered louder, judgment spreading like wildfire. Emma stepped forward, eyes locked on the judge. "She belongs with me. I will not abandon her." Her voice cracked, but it shook the air with defiance. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his silence now a shield rather than retreat. Emma's mother suddenly rose from the benches, her voice shaking but fierce. "Enough!" she cried, startling the room. All eyes turned as her confession spilled. "I forced Emma into this lie. She didn't know the truth. I thought I was protecting our family." Gasps broke out, whispers colliding. Emma's eyes widened, her body trembling. "You let me drown in their judgment," she whispered, her voice ragged. The baby whimpered as if sensing the storm. Daniel clenched his fists, rage flashing across his face. "Your lies nearly destroyed her," he spat at Emma's mother. The judge's gavel struck again, demanding silence, but the chaos was already burning. Emma pressed her cheek to the baby's head, her tears falling. "You broke me," she whispered to her mother, "but you will not break her." The baby shifted, her breath a fragile reminder of why Emma could not surrender. The storm inside Emma finally erupted. She stood, her body shaking, but her voice clear. "I am not weak. I am not a mistake. I am her mother." The room fell silent, her words cutting through every whisper. Lily sobbed, covering her face with trembling hands. Daniel's eyes glistened, his voice breaking as he said, "She's right. Emma has fought harder than anyone." The judge leaned forward, his stern face softening, though his words remained measured. "This court sees not only truth but sacrifice." Emma rocked the baby gently, her tears falling, but her grip steady, unyielding. The infant's breathing slowed, calm in her mother's arms despite the storm around her. Emma raised her chin, meeting every pair of eyes in the room. "She will not be taken. She is my child, and I will fight until my last breath." The judge's gavel echoed like thunder, the decision hanging in the air. His voice carried weight and finality. Custody remains with Emma Carter. This court recognizes her as the child's mother. Gasps erupted, some in shock, others in relief. Lily collapsed into sobs, her body shaking as guilt swallowed her whole. Emma's mother buried her face in her hands, tears streaming as she whispered, "Forgive me." Daniel exhaled deeply, shoulders loosening for the first time, his gaze softening as it rested on Emma. Emma pressed her lips to the baby's forehead, whispering, "You're safe. You're mine." The room quieted, the verdict sealing fate. For the first time since the nightmare began, Emma felt the faintest flicker of strength. Her life would never return to what it was, but in that moment she chose love over fear. The courthouse doors opened, and Emma stepped into the cool evening air, the child pressed close to her chest. The crowd outside buzzed with whispers, some sympathetic, others harsh. Daniel walked beside her, his shoulders slouched but his gaze softer than before. Emma's mother followed slowly, her eyes heavy with shame, her hands clutching her coat as if to shield herself from judgment. Emma whispered to the baby, "It's over, little one. You're safe now." Yet inside her chest, doubt gnawed, reminding her of the battles yet to come. Lily stood at the edge of the steps, her tear-streaked face turned away, unable to meet Emma's gaze. The evening sun cast long shadows, painting them all in hues of gold and sorrow. Emma's grip tightened, her resolve whispering louder than fear. She would not let go, no matter the cost. Back home, Emma laid the baby gently into a small crib by the window, the softest smile touching her lips despite her tears. The room was dim but calm, bathed in the faint glow of a street lamp outside. Daniel leaned against the doorway, his voice low. "You fought harder than anyone thought you could." Emma's chest rose and fell, exhaustion pressing down, but her voice was steady. "I didn't fight for me. I fought for her." Daniel nodded, his eyes wet, though he turned away quickly. The baby stirred, her tiny fists opening as though reaching for the world. Emma reached down, brushing her cheek with trembling fingers. "You'll never know the lies that nearly took you. You'll only know this: you were worth every scar." The silence that followed was heavy, but it was no longer suffocating. Emma's mother visited the next morning, her steps hesitant, her eyes downcast. She lingered at the doorway, voice trembling. "Emma, I destroyed everything trying to save us." Emma sat with the baby in her lap, rocking gently, her gaze fixed on the child. "You didn't save me," she whispered. "You broke me." Her mother's lips quivered, guilt carving deep lines into her face. "I can't ask for forgiveness," she said softly, "but I pray you'll find peace." Emma sighed, her tears falling onto the baby's blanket. "Peace doesn't come cheap," she answered, "and you made me pay in blood." The silence cut sharp between them, broken only by the infant's gentle breaths. For the first time, her mother turned away, shoulders sagging, her strength drained. Emma kissed the baby's forehead, whispering fiercely, "But she's mine, and I'll never let lies take her again." Daniel sat across from Emma later that night, the room quiet except for the baby's slow breathing. His voice was raw as he admitted, "I wanted to walk away so many times. I thought I wasn't strong enough." Emma looked at him, her eyes sharp but tired. Strength isn't about wanting, it's about staying when everything tells you to run. Daniel lowered his gaze, his hands trembling as he whispered, "I was afraid of what this would make me." Emma held the baby closer, her tone softer now. "It makes you more than what you were, or it breaks you. The choice is yours." The silence stretched, heavy but unbroken. Daniel finally nodded, his shoulders relaxing slightly. "Then I choose to stay." Emma's lips curved faintly, tears brimming again. "Then prove it, Daniel. Prove it every day." The following morning, Emma stood at the window, the baby nestled in her arms, sunlight spilling across her face. The world outside bustled, uncaring of her battles, but within her heart, a fragile calm stirred. She whispered to the infant, "You are the reason I breathe. You gave me a fight I didn't know I had." Daniel walked up quietly, standing close enough to feel her presence. "You're not alone anymore," he murmured, his voice soft but resolute. Emma turned slightly, her lips trembling into a faint smile. "I don't need to be safe, Daniel. I only need to know she'll never be abandoned." The baby stirred, her tiny hand curling against Emma's chest as though answering her vow. Emma kissed her gently, tears shimmering like diamonds in the morning light. The storm had passed, but its scars etched her forever. The night was still, the city lights flickering faintly through the window, as Emma sat in silence, with the baby pressed against her chest. Daniel leaned on the wall, his face weary but softer than before. Emma's voice broke the silence, raw and trembling. "I never wanted to be a mother, until she called me Mama." Daniel's eyes widened, the words striking him deeper than any argument. Emma's tears slid down her cheeks, falling onto the baby's blanket. The infant stirred, cooing softly, unaware of the storm that had passed. Emma whispered again, fiercer now, "She gave me back my life, and I will give her mine if I must." The room felt like a sanctuary, yet fragile, as if one harsh word could shatter it forever. Outside, the night held its breath, waiting for what came next. Emma carried the baby outside into the crisp night air, the quiet street bathed in silver moonlight. Daniel followed, hesitant but close. She looked up at the stars, her voice breaking. "Do you hear that?" Silence. "For once the world isn't judging me." The baby stirred, her tiny hand curling around Emma's finger. Daniel whispered, "You've changed, Emma. You're stronger than I ever imagined." Emma shook her head, tears glistening. "Not stronger, just unwilling to let her go." She kissed the infant's forehead, her lips trembling. "They'll try again, Daniel. They'll try to take her from me. But I won't break." Daniel stepped closer, voice low. "Then neither will I." The night wrapped around them, heavy but calm, the storm behind them, leaving scars they would carry forever. The following morning, Emma sat on the edge of her bed, the baby nestled in her arms, sunlight spilling across her pale face. She whispered, "You were born into lies, but you'll grow with truth." Daniel entered quietly, carrying a cup of tea, his eyes softer than ever. "Shall grow with love, Emma. That's what matters." Emma nodded, her tears flowing freely, falling onto the baby's tiny fingers. The infant yawned, her fragile breath brushing Emma's skin. Emma smiled faintly, whispering, "You'll never know the weight of the shame they tried to place on you. I'll carry it all so you never have to." Daniel's gaze held both sorrow and pride as he placed the tea beside her. For the first time, the silence between them felt whole, not broken. The scars were real, but so was the bond forged from them. Emma walked through the small park near her home, the baby cradled close, the trees shedding autumn leaves in swirls of gold and red. Whispers from strangers echoed faintly, but she no longer bowed under their weight. She whispered to the infant, "They will always talk. But you will always know me." Daniel followed behind, his steps steady, his gaze protective. A child ran past laughing, the sound sharp in the stillness. Emma's lips trembled as she whispered, "I never thought I'd fight for someone so small, but you've made me more than I ever was." Daniel drew closer, his voice gentle. "You are not broken anymore, Emma. You are whole." Her tears glistened, her arms tightening around the infant, as though to promise the world she would never yield again. That night, Emma sat alone in the darkened living room, the baby asleep in her arms, silence heavy. She whispered, her voice raw but resolute, "They tried to take you from me, but you'll always know who I am." Tears streamed down her face, her hand trembling as she stroked the child's hair. Daniel entered quietly, stopping as he heard her words, his eyes shining with unspoken pain. Emma kissed the infant's forehead, her whisper almost breaking. "If I lose everything, if I am left with nothing, I will still have this truth. You are mine." The baby sighed softly in her sleep, her tiny chest rising with fragile breaths. Emma's tears fell onto the blanket, but she didn't look away. The final line lingered in the room, haunting and unshakable. "You are mine. Forever."